I do have a question, Mr. Referee. Was that a violation for Cat? Is that
Okay.
one correction on that when it comes off the rim and it goes up, you cannot offensive goaltending is if it's still above the cylinder. Is that the rule? Is that the rule?
So we're going to now segment this as refereeing because I had a point I wanted to make about refereeing as well. But we'll talk about the basket interference, offensive
Is it?
basket
Yep.
interference. So first off, there are two versions of basket interference. There is the FIBA version and there is the NBA version.
Hmm.
So the NBA version, the way that they called it, it's a stiff call because it was a 50-50, but it is a vertical cylinder. So imagine that the ring has a
Yep.
vertical cylinder going up, and if the ball is anywhere in that cylinder, it is interference, defensively or offensively. So if Cat's tip back, it's half in, half out. Obviously, it's coming out. That's just the natural trajectory of the ball. But when he touches it, when he slams it in, it ends up being sort of in the cylinder. They made that call. It's a harsh call. It's a harsh call because of the
Do you do you
implications
do you
for the series.
believe it was correct?
For the NBA rule, yes, I do. But the issue is go and watch the Olympics or go and watch any international FIBA play. Once the ball is not in the basket, the FIBA rules actually enable you to swat it away. So a defensive rebound could occur on that play where it was, or an offensive tip in. This is the great conversation about the FIBA and NBA divide because, I've pitched these ideas. Why do we let this magical cylinder prevent these incredible athletes from doing things like that? What are the implications of that play if he catches the ball half a second later? It's 2 points. That's the thing. He caught it at the wrong moment. That's it. That's all that happened. If it's slightly out, if it slightly bends a little bit more, for me, it's just a weird rule. And what's the basket interference? The ball had hit the ring off a shot. It had clearly missed. It was going to miss. But because it falls in this magical line, imaginary, however you put it.
Well, it's not really magical. It's factual. But the question here really is that factually, was it in the
Yes.
cylinder?
And
And
yes,
was this
according
reviewed?
to the
Was this
NBA
play
rule,
reviewed? Was this reviewed?
this was reviewed. And I don't know if that's too quick to segue into what I want to talk about. But the way that reviews work currently, and I think it needs an overhaul. Reviews are analyzing the call on the floor. Okay, so this is a bit of a misconception here. It's the call on the floor. So they aren't going to look and say Cat actually got pushed and it's a foul before the offensive basket interfered, and they're going to change the call. They would ignore that. So Cat could get punched in the kidney as he tip jams this, and they're not reviewing the punch. They're not going to stumble across the punch on the review. They have to only look at that. And the reason why I bring this up is because in game 2, Jaden McDaniels is fouled by Kyrie Irving on the wrist, and it causes the ball to exit his hands, and he is the last one to touch it. And when they did the review, they analyzed the out of bounds call. They had to watch the replay, and the replay clearly hits him here. You can go and watch it yourself. He hits him on the wrist. It causes the ball to fall out of bounds. And Dallas was rewarded with the ball because the call that they were analyzing was the out of bounds, not what caused it to go out of bounds. The call only allows them to do that. So what I'm proposing here is when they review a play, they need to review a play as in the whole thing. And if they catch a foul, then so be it. Because you can't let a player lose control of the ball from a direct foul and then penalize them for it because they were, by the letter of the law, the last ones to touch it. And that was the point that I wanted to make because
Ouch! This is. I'm not liking this territory, man. I'll tell you straight up already. All right. So you're saying we review the play at what point to determine a play begins?
so I understand what you're saying because then you could go all 20 seconds and you could catch an off ball foul. You need to watch the replay sincerely. Within a second, Jaden McDaniels catches the ball on the baseline. He brings it down with two hands.
So
Kyrie Irving comes
so
in
it was
underneath the
just
ball.
correct me on this play here. So it was off Jaden McDaniels, but you believe
It's
before that there was a foul on Kyrie,
there
correct?
is there is no unfortunately for you, there is no belief. It is legitimately
Okay,
a
there's a
foul.
foul. All right, so, but there was no foul call, and it was off Jaden McDaniels.
Correct.
Then who challenged this? The T-Wolves challenged this.
I believe it's actually the referee review that they always do within the last 2 minutes for out of bound calls if they see it fit. I don't actually know if it was a
Okay, so then,
challenge
so then, so then, why did not Chris Finch just challenge that there was a foul call? Can he not challenge that?
because that's not how it works. That's the issue with the challenge system. You're not challenging a no call, you're challenging the call on the floor. So let's say, for example, I go up for a dunk
Okay, I get you.
and I offensive foul you or something like that, but they don't even call a blocking foul, then there is nothing to challenge. There is no play to review.
Okay.
So in that situation, and it's definitely very niche, but in that situation, like as I said, please watch the highlight, like because it's 20 seconds of your time, but you'll understand what I'm talking about. Kyrie causes the ball to go out of bounds, but he causes it via a foul. And for them to turn the ball over, when in reality, there's no reason, like that's not his fault that he turned the ball over. He gets fouled on the wrist. You know, it's a push out of bounds. It's just that he's the last one to touch it. It's the limitations of the review system.
I'm almost going to go another direction here. I think we should remove or reduce the amount of reviews that we are permitted in a game. Look, I'm not a fan of necessarily getting it right every time because that's not how the sport is played. And don't get me wrong, I'm gonna be standing on the sideline screaming out when it's like wrong too, and I'm gonna lose my shit. I get it too. Yeah, we all do. But isn't that the point of sports? I think that's a part where I think people are missing with trying to get every single thing right. Like hell, if we're gonna try and get everything right, you're saying now let's review 20 single play. Let's ensure we check every part of that play. If there is a foul, then let's add that. And maybe down the track coaches could challenge no calls too. And now we're just trying to make sure every single thing is right from a rules perspective. And then you make the argument, well, rules are there, so rules are rules, right? But this is not, I don't believe, productive or positive for sports in that sense, especially for basketball. I don't know.
I understand.
And I know, and let's be clear here, here's a footnote, man. You're the guy that says fouls are wrong and fouls are bad. Fouls is an error of your ability in a game. I've always disagreed with that, correct?
What I've done, I've sent you the link. So I would really strongly suggest it. It is within the first 30
Sure.
seconds. I understand your stance on this. I just need you to watch the play and understand that when they went to review this, they were only allowed to review who it last went out on. And factually, it goes out on Jaden McDaniels, but you can't ignore the reason why it goes out on him. And this is a very timely play.
But so what? It's a mess up. It's a bad call, but you get bad calls all the time, and you live with it, and it
Okay.
sucks, and it sucks, and it's something we can talk about. But
if you're going to go to the review system and you can't, because this is the limitations of the review system I'm talking about. I'm not talking about scrapping it. I'm not talking about keeping it. I'm talking about the limitations of the system, which is they went and watched this on a monitor. People in the review center, the referees on the court, they go and watch this. They put their headphones on, they go to the monitor, they watch this, and they have to completely disregard the fact that he gets hit on the wrist, and that is why it's out of bounds.
No. I hate this. I'm hating this more and more, man. Now you're getting me fired up like you did last week because now you're basically saying, see, here's the catch, okay? The ref has missed his call, and I feel like now I'm jumping to defending refs and stuff like that. The ref has missed his call. There is a no call, therefore it can't be challenged, okay? But there are no calls throughout the whole course of the game. So now you might as well say the review center should be live time reviewing every single possession, and at a stoppage, maybe the guy that's upstairs can then drop his message into the earpiece and go, hey, or into the score bench, you guys missed this call, let's change this now. Like, that doesn't work like that. That's not how sports works. It is what it is.
But
It's controversial.
the game.
Imagine this.
They
Imagine
paused the
every
game.
rule was correct in a game. Every single call was correct in a game of basketball. There would be no controversy. You would, and then therefore you would have very little conversation. There would be very little excitement. There would be very little opinion. You would sit there and go, "This is a perfectly played game of basketball. Clap, clap for that team that played it perfectly better. Let's go home." Like I don't see it, man.
Conversation would be around. You know what the conversation would be around? It would be around the fact that Minnesota didn't execute after that because Minnesota's up by 2 and they turn the ball over with 40 seconds to go. And let's say they get the call correct, which is what we would ultimately hope for, and then Minnesota misses the shot. The conversation's not about the controversy or the missed call. It's about the fact that one team executed and one team didn't, which, in my opinion, in my utopia of basketball, that's what you want. You don't want to be talking about the referees messing something up or a suspension getting in the way or a technical getting in the way. You want to be able to talk about my team was better than your team or my team wasn't as good as your team. And you don't want these things coming up this conversation. And if you can sincerely watch that and say that like, so be it, if you can say so be it, then I don't
Well,
know if we should be potting
well,
anymore. I
well,
don't think we should be potting anymore
I
because I don't
did,
know if I can.
I did tip the Mavs. Let's be clear, okay? So be it. It was off the T-Wolves, okay? And so be it. It looks like it probably is a foul. Yeah, I'll give you that, okay? And so be it that it sucks that it was, out on the T-Wolves, even though there was, a foul probably before that play. But so be it. That's how basketball has been played since its inception, pretty much. Correct. So why now are we trying to perfect the game of basketball? Is that what we're trying to do? Like, does this actually really improve the game of basketball? Like,
Well,
I don't know. I don't know. Like, I just
I understand. I understand your reservations on the review system. I guess the way that I'm viewing it is we have the system, they are using the system, and yet there is a clear limitation of the system, right? It's not going to make the game perfect because they get this call right, because they will miss other calls. I get it. But the fact that when you watch an NBA game, I don't know if you've done it, the full 2.5, 3 hour experience, it drags on. And these reviews are awful. Now, my logic would be if we're not going to be able to get rid of the reviews, can we at least get them right? Because that's blatantly wrong, right? And that's where the frustration comes from. I've got to sit there. It's a tense game. It's going back and forth for 6 minutes back and forth. Super entertaining. Wow, this is so good. And then I have to sit there, watch a timeout, watch a review system, watch the slow mo replay. Let's get 15 different angles of the slap of the wrist. The ball goes out. And then we have to watch them basically pretend that there was no foul. And yep, Jaden McDaniels lost the ball. So therefore, it's Dallas ball. Like, that's a waste of time. That's when it becomes a waste of time. The fact that you have a review system and you can't even get it right because of the limitations around that rule. That's what I would change.
I'm not gonna buy it, man. Next thing you're gonna tell me that like on every basket they should just review that it wasn't a travel beforehand. Because guess what? That happens all the time, right?
That's
Players,
not the same. It's
players
not the same thing
shuffle
anymore.
their
It's not the
feet
same thing.
and so on and
It's not
so
the same
forth.
thing. But
It,
they do shuffle their feet.
yeah,
They
they
do
do.
shuffle.
So it's not right. The ref has missed the call. The ref
But they're
has
not
missed the
reviewing
call.
it.
But
Imagine if they reviewed it and then knew that they shuffled their feet and then still ignored it. That's what happened in this thing. I don't. I think we're on different wavelengths. I think this is where it's
I
frustrating
think
that
you're
we don't
clearly
have
on
another
the
game.
I think you're clearly on the T-Wolves bandwagon still. Time to jump off and jump on the Mavs one because you already said they're going all the way here.
We're going all the way.
They're going
Let's go.
all the way.
I'll get my call right
I,
eventually. Jesus.
it's funny because I had a similar chat to another friend recently about this sort of area here, and look, you know what? I may not have realized I would have taken this stance 10 years ago, okay? But I'm a firm believer now with where NBA basketball is at and Pro Ball is with that, with reviews and this stuff and all this stuff. I got asked at a game, at a junior game, can we review the play? Yeah, and I said, I
Uh,
don't think so, okay? I don't think there's
are
any
you recording? Are you recording your games, are you?
review center here, okay? But I know it was a joker, but it was like, that's the point, okay? I think I am still a traditionalist. I feel that that's the word here, that just play the damn game. And when there's something that's bad and wrong and there's clearly a missed call, you can scream and shout and be pissed off, but that's still part of the emotions of the game. And and I think that's still it
Right.
should be how it
So
should be
the
played.
two stances then, to make sure that we're in some form of common ground, the two stances are you don't even want to go to the monitor. You just want to let that bad call be a bad call and then move on.
Let the ref make the
And
call. That's what they're there
all right,
for.
that's fine. And I'm on the stand that, and this is where I feel like you're a bit of a dreamer now, and it's an odd role for you to be taking because normally that's my position. But I'm taking the position that reviews aren't going anywhere. They're going
Okay,
to keep it in
I'll agree
play.
with that.
So
I'll
why don't
agree
they
with
just get this bit right? Why don't they at least not force them? Because the limitation you need to understand, if Kyrie Irving had punched him in like the head, and they missed that call, in the review limitations, they can't do anything with that. They're only bound to the call that they made on the floor. That to me feels like, I know that you're saying, oh, well, when does a play end? Sincerely, between the two players, the defender and offender, which is always what we're reviewing, let's be honest, they have to get that bit right. They have to understand this is why this happened or this is why that didn't happen. They have to get at least that right. If they're going to continue to use that system, they have to be able to review the play at large and change calls as necessary.
What happened to Bull Don't Lie? Isn't that what we always used to do, right? When there was a bad call and shouldn't have been the call, you just go out there and then the next player goes the wrong way and then you go Bull Don't Lie. Wasn't that the whole
That you got a text for
a
that.
whole
We don't want any text. We don't want text for that now. You don't want to get a text.
So look, I think I don't know, man. I'm not going to buy in that this is positive for the game in that sense, but you're right, review center is not going anywhere. I wouldn't be shocked horrid if they added what you're talking about in the next few years, in that sort of sense that now they will make that a reviewable play. I think they were talking about adding an extra coaches challenge too, I think, as part of maybe next season or something like that. So you're absolutely right. And guess what? Maybe someone lost out $1 million because Kyrie didn't get an extra foul because that's what they bet on, right? Isn't that what's the important part? Yeah, yeah, they bet that he was going to be,
Well, they're
plus,
gambling.
and he didn't get called that foul,
Michael Porter's brother is trying to make a living
Yeah,
somehow. He's not
yeah,
playing in the NBA anymore.
correct. Another Porter brother, like just less lost out there. So I don't know, man. Um, but yeah, look, man, it's definitely a dubious part of sports and basketball, and the world's continuing to go down that pathway. I totally agree with that. I totally agree with that. I'm just not necessarily a fan of that. But hey, look, I guess I'm just gonna come along with the ride, right? Because that's what we all do. Because we're fans here.